When I was a kid, I carved my sister's name into the inside door of our parents' car, blamed her for it, and got away. I was pretty young at the time, had to have been about 7 or 8. My sister is about 2 years younger, so she would have been around 5 or 6 maybe. I was really bored waiting for my mom to get out of the store. My dad would drive us around the parking lot until mom got out, and it would feel like an eternity. One day I decided to carve my sister's name into the door. I don't remember my intentions. I know they weren't malicious and I wasn't trying to frame her, but as a dumb kid it just made sense to carve her name there. My mom finished shopping and we went home. Once we got out of the car, my parents noticed the carving. Now what happened must have been a stupid chain of events, because I never can make sense of how this happened. My parents must have forgotten which seat we were sitting in, because obviously I had to be the one to have done it. They saw her name and immediately started scolding her. Probably scared the hell out of her into a panic, because when they asked after accusing, not the greatest parenting move on their part, but they were great parent overall, she agreed it was her. I stood there shocked and relieved, but also slightly guilty. I knew she had my back and it kind of shaped me covering her ass in the future. A little while back I brought it up to her as we were joking and reminiscing on the past. I was getting ready to thank her for that moment of covering my ass. Me. Remember that time mom and dad found your name carved in the car? Sister. Yes. I can't believe I did that. I don't even know what I was thinking carving my name into the door. My eyes got big and I just laughed with her. To this day no one knows I did it. Not even my sister. She actually thinks she truly carved her name into the car door. Now part of me feels more guilt, but I'll never come clean. I die with this one. In kindergarten I lost the class pet hamster and replaced him. Nobody knew in my kindergarten class we had a class pet hamster. Every weekend one of us would be allowed to take it home to look after it while school was closed, and one day it was my turn. I was excited and had the cage and everything at home. Somehow, and I don't really remember how this happened, he got out of the cage and ran underneath the refrigerator. There was a pretty big gap from the floor, and it was gone. We assumed it ran into a hole because we found out not too long after we had mice, but it never came back. To avoid getting in trouble, my family and I went to the nearby pet store and just bought a similar looking hamster. Of course I was nervous people would realize, but Monday morning, nobody noticed it was a different one. To this day, I've only told a handful of people and now I'm confessing here. I'm sorry Momo. I intentionally broke the work computer so my boss would get a better one. Long story short, I work in a shop where a computer is required, basically an internet cafe, and my boss, being the cheap asshole he is, forces me to work with a shitty 2008 Samsung laptop with the shittiest specs, so slow and makes my interactions with customers awkward and my job painfully harder than it should be. I've been asking him to get a proper computer for months, arguing that it would benefit him more than me, and it would. His argument is always, this little guy got me to where I am now, he's our good omen. Despite being perfectly capable of buying a PC with decent hardware with his bloody pocket change. Today I had enough, so I just poured water on it, wiped it out and let it dry. To my surprise it would still turn on, but the keyboard is fucked. So, now he's forced to get a better PC. Update. You were right. He suggested using a USB keyboard, not even a new one which we sell. He brought an old one from his house. Needless to say, the keys never hit the counter any harder. I was supposed to get suspended from school, but put it off on someone else. As the title says, I was supposed to be suspended but managed to put it off on another kid. But details are required to understand it. The seniors and app juniors all went on a field trip, me being a junior. We were supposed to be gone all day but ended up getting back at the end of 7th period. There are 8 periods, so only 1 period left that we were already counted absent for. Most people left, including me, and the next day we find out people who left are getting suspended. The day after that the suspending started and I went to class. Then the teacher said that I was suspended, and me being the perfect student I am, the teacher couldn't believe that I was suspended, so she sent me to the office to have it fixed. When I got to the office I told them my plight and asked me my name and grade, and they figured since I was a junior I probably didn't go, and then realized my last name was the same last name of the senior who sent, and they didn't suspend everyone and he ended up not suspended, but I said they must have confused me with him, and they ended up suspending him instead. Although they did ask my 8th period teacher if I was there, she said that I was there, so that was nice.
When I was 10, I caught my grandparents' rug on fire. Okay, so basically, I watched a show where they lit like a paper on fire and watched it burn in their hand. Well, my dumb 10-year-old brain was like, when no one is around, I'ma try it. Well, one day later, no one is inside, so I get my paper and lighter and light the paper on fire. Well, turns out that the TV lied to my 10-year-old self, so it burnt my hand a little bit and I dropped it and it landed on the rug and the rug was on fire. Well, I stomped it out and there was this huge burn mark on the rug, so I was like, oh shit, I can't get caught too. I lifted the prop 20-pound table that was on the edge of the rug and flipped the rug the other way. I would have got away with if I had moved it like 4 inches back more. My grandma came in and what did you do? And I said nothing. She knew I was lying and I started crying and said I lit rug on fire with a fire lighter. She was mad but calmed me down, but when she told my grandpa he got kinda really mad. He called me a stupid fool. That was the worst thing he could have said. I just cried again. I still feel bad over it cause it was a real fancy rug, had bears on it and trees, was like $300. My mom, when she found out, like to whoop me. I was grounded for 2 months, no tablet. Well, that's pretty much my confession about how I was a dumbest kid. THXS for reading. To this day I still feel horrible about it and just thought this may help.